Hello and welcome back to the Unplayables podcast. It has been a while, hasn't it, guys?
Yep, it has indeed.
It has. We aren't joined by Art today, but we are joined by Ryan, Connor and Matthew. So I did just speak to you, but if you want to say hello again.
All right.
Hello.
Hello.
I like how we still do it one at a time. We still take it in turns. British queue, and I like it. Right, so today it's something a little bit different. We have a Park Life Sport special, but it's also a double special because we are recording for Park Life Sport, but we also have a Checkatrade trophy special. So, as I coined earlier, this is a special.
Nice.
So, guys, I don't actually know where you want to start, but Checkatrade trophy, shall we play some of our fans' thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Our fans. They're our fans now.
Yeah, your fans.
Your fans.
Matthew and Ryan did well to go out and collect this yesterday evening. So, first of all,
Mostly Matthew, but
hopefully it's going to play all the way through. So, let's give this a go. That's the wrong mouse.
I'm not for it at all. I think it's disgraceful, and I think they should have their own competition. We've seen last year Everton under-21s, rubbish. Arsenal under-21, rubbish. Most of the under-20 teams we've seen so far have been rubbish, absolute rubbish. And we do wonder how they ever get into the first team, some of these players. It beggars belief, it really does.
To be honest, it's not something I would personally agree with. I understand why they want to let some of the younger ones from the Premiership clubs play to give them match experience. But, you know, this competition over the years has been primarily for League One and League Two. Once they did have some from what we now call the conference. But really, I'm not happy about it, really, because it's taking the joy out of first and second, you know, what was the third and fourth division thing. So, yeah, okay, I understand why they're trying to give match practice, because I know full well tonight Stoke are playing at Port Vale and Stoke are playing their under-21. So, from the point of view of attendance at such games as that, yes, there is a big attendance because, of course, it's a local derby. So, yeah, there are advantages and disadvantages, but if I had to say a disadvantage, that's the way I would go.
Okay, so what do we think of that? Obviously, both of them against it. I think we're fairly against it, but we're undecided. I mean, you guys are all fans who represent the views of the under-23s clubs, really. But obviously, you can see it from both perspectives. Obviously, those two Cheltenham Town fans there.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, as a Cheltenham Town fan, whether that opinion is valid or not, I don't think it's the best thing for a club like Cheltenham to be involved in. Like we said, like that gentleman said in the second one, it used to be the Division 3 and Division 4 that were in that trophy, and that I think was brilliant because that gave an extra challenge. I mean, it's extra games, but it's extra competitive games. And then similarly, as the guy said in the first one, the under-23s teams that we're seeing aren't actually very good. I mean, Cheltenham have obviously struggled in League Two this season, and they're comfortably beating these under-23 sides. And yeah, I don't know whether obviously it's meant to be a test for the under-23s, but there's got to be other ways to test them. In my opinion, you can't just they're sort of using the League 1 and 2 clubs just to help out these under-23s, when actually Premier League clubs could just use the loan system more effectively and send some of these players that they want to get better in the men's game, send them to men's teams instead of playing them in an under-23 Premier League, which is dull, boring and not competitive in any way.
So, George, are you suggesting that perhaps they're sort of taking advantage of League 1 and 2 clubs by using under-23s in this competition?
I think so. I mean, kind of. Because obviously it's a good chance for teams like Cheltenham and stuff to see how far off or how much better they are than under-23s. But in the grand scheme of things, that has nothing to do with it. And this is coming from the perspective of someone who we got through last night. We beat Newport. We're still in the hat. We're still going. We're winning games of football from it. But I think even then, I don't think it's that beneficial to the club, really. It's some money, which is obviously great, could go a long way. But I think this has now been designed with these under-23 clubs in mind, which I don't think is fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're definitely taking it from their perspective rather than the existing clubs, which is a bit unfair. I think they've probably tried to justify it in that they think that the lower league clubs will want to test themselves against potentially higher quality but younger players. But that's not, as we say, that it seems to be an imbalance of positives and negatives for the League 1 and League 2 teams compared to the academies.
Like the whole reason they wanted to add the Premier League academy sides to the competition was to test the young players competitively. But do you know who captained Arsenal against Portsmouth last night?
I do, but
Laurent Koscielny.
Yeah.
Why?
I didn't realise Laurent Koscielny was
Under 23.
Yeah, I mean,
he needs to be tested. Don't you understand? He's not experienced.
Arsenal captain Laurent Koscielny needs to be tested in a competition.
International French defender.
Right, I can understand
tested competitively against
Portsmouth.
From an Arsenal perspective, I can understand the mini uproar that this has caused, especially on social media. But how else is Laurent Koscielny going to come back from injury?
So you're suggesting that if Eden Hazard gets injured, he should then go and start playing at Swindon under 23s?
No, we're talking a very long-term injury he's had, and he can't just be thrown straight back into the first team. He needs to play under 21 games.
Yeah, I get that, but like I cover a lot of Bristol City under 23s games, and they feature some first-team players. Like Frank Fielding played a couple of weeks last week against Derby. But I kind of get it. But in a competition, they added the Premier League academies for the younger players to play. Why not just play them in a behind closed door friendly?
Yeah. Okay, so from the perspective that the young players want to be tested against men, surely Koscielny is thinking the same. He thinks this would be a great opportunity for me to get my fitness and my match sharpness up against a men's team.
But didn't he still limp off after the game?
Yeah, but that's irrelevant. But
do
clubs not have other reserve team games?
Well, yeah, there's the under 23s have their own league, the under 18s have their own league, the under 23s have their own cup competitions, as well as the Checkatrade trophy.
But there's no law against it.
The clubs are allowed to use a certain amount of 21 players.
I mean, if you're Arsenal and if you're Koscielny, if you're not picked for that because it's a competition to improve young players against men, he's thinking why?
But from the opposition's perspective, they'll be looking at that team sheet and then seeing Laurent Koscielny in. They're just going to go, well, why is that fair now? Because now we're going to be playing up against a Premier League experienced defender. We're in League, 2 or whatever.
I can understand that perspective.
And for them, that's the chances of now trying to win is already sort of.
I mean, they still won.
Yeah,
they still won. But it's still puts that sort of mental aspect of going, well, God, now we got to play against him now. And,
is this sorry to interrupt everyone, all of you. I think all of you like to speak that. Is this competition the one where the League 2 or League 1 club have to show that they're playing a relatively strengthened side?
Yeah, or else they'll get fined.
Yeah, so you get fined if you're not showing that you're playing a strong side or a side which has, I think it's a certain number of first team players in the last fixture, isn't it, or something like that?
So is what you're suggesting potentially like the opposite with the academy clubs, that they have to have basically just change the rules so you can't have 3 players over 21 like it is.
I don't know if that's what I'm saying, but it just seems ridiculous that you're made to play say you've got a squad of 23 players and you're a League 2 club and you're being made to play this random game against a side that's not going to test your team really in any way, because a lot of them don't. I mean, obviously some do, but say you're being forced to do that. Say you get 3 or 4 injuries, you've now got to go and face league games with a squad of 18, 19 players. When these under 23 clubs can just drop in someone that they want to bring back from fitness, they can play a whole team of 16-year-olds if they want. It just doesn't add up. I just think it's something that the Premier League trying to do to benefit the top clubs, and once again it's like an example of those at the top get everything, reap all the rewards and all the benefits, and then the League One and League Two are just used.
I mean, people have said about loan, like maybe just go back a step. Don't let the academies play in this competition, and just make sure that the academy players have more loan moves to get that men's experience. But I think it's a different kind of experience because it's with players that you're playing with. You're potentially going to be playing with in the future, and it's sort of, and you're in your own environment, or the environment that you've been brought up in anyway. It's not like being sent off, I don't know, just being sent off on loan to somewhere random, and then you're just playing with all these people you don't really know for half a season.
But wouldn't that make that maybe is that not too comfortable for them? Yes, like I get your point of yes, these would be potential players you would, and these are your teammates.
Yeah.
But maybe the point of also going out on loan is to then force yourself out of the comfort zone to develop those friendships, that teammate bond with people you don't know at the start, but then eventually form that to then be part of a team that isn't effectively your own, sort of on that loan spell. So then it shows that you can develop not as a player but also as a person in a team.
Yeah. I don't know. That's quite a strong. That's a strong argument to be fair. I might concede defeat on that one. Yeah.
But I mean, what would the club perspective of it be, George?
In terms of the Checkatrade?
Yeah.
So, interesting that you should say that, Matthew, as we obviously I got in touch with Luke Saunders, who works for Cheltenham Town as media officer on match days, and he gave us a bit more on a club perspective. I shall play that for you now. Take a listen, and I want you to make bullet points so we can discuss it afterwards, all right?
I think this season, especially the competition has changed a little bit, and obviously with a few more under-21 teams coming into it, kind of gives it a little bit more value. You can look at it in one of two ways. Some people may not like the introduction of the under-21 teams, but from a club perspective, certainly commercially, it does bring in more people in hospitality. Say we had Arsenal under-21s at the Johnny Rock Stadium a few weeks ago, and that really helped us with hospitality because we had a lot of Arsenal fans and people coming to see the young guns on show, and yeah, it did help with our crowds as well. And when you look at the crowd we got last night, you know, it was 700 or so, and obviously it's over 1,000 when Arsenal were there, so it does make a difference, and I think the competition has a little bit more value because of that.
Yeah, and so that's his club opinion as a man from the club. What do we think of that?
Makes sense, yeah.
It's similar to what we've already said, isn't it? Really.
For even though it may work for Cheltenham, like I said, they were playing Arsenal under 21s. That's kind of because yesterday, like the gentleman said in the Vox Pop that Stoke played. Who was it?
They played Port Vale,
and that got a turnout of
almost 8,000.
8,000, just because it was a derby that hadn't been taking place.
That was an exception,
one,
yeah. And I think because they're not going to face each other in the league anytime soon.
No. But that's even that. So you get those one-offs, but then you have to look at other clubs playing in that competition.
Yeah, like if it was Brighton under 21s you're playing, would it be 1,000 people coming to the Johnny Rock Stadium? It wouldn't.
No. I mean, yeah.
But because it was Arsenal,
aren't they? Yeah.
And there's Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal. They're three of the teams involved. But then there's West Ham. They're not on the level of the other three. There's the Brighton and Southampton involved. If it's Southampton aren't even allowed to play Portsmouth in the draws. Whenever it's the draw, they have to be put apart.
Oh.
So it might create local derbies, but not one of them.
No, yeah, and I think the other thing is, if we took a look at before the under-21s teams were allowed into it, if you're looking at attendances, do you reckon, a League One versus League Two club quarter-final would probably have exactly the same attendance as that Cheltenham v Arsenal one did? I know that's not a local. I know Cheltenham Arsenal is not a local.
Yeah, it's a good.
Whatever.